Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about feeling down. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, what was your lowest point as a programmer? Yeah, this is a hard one, but I will give you this one as well, because I believe in being as transparent as I humanly can. My lowest point was at my first job, when I was my absolute first job. I took when I was in school, studying to become a programmer or systems engineer type of thing. We had an internship type of program where we studied for a few years just in a theoretical environment, and then we had practices or we did internships and stuff like that by the end of it, right? To kind of help us along to get a job and get some real work experience. Now, the company that I found that took me in and where I did my internship at was a small-time agency, a design firm, where most of the time, most of the projects there were fairly well, I'm not going to say simple projects, because we did quite a lot of impressive things at that company as well, I thought. But let's just say that this was not a purebred IT company. This was not a product company. This was more of a group of consultants who sat together and delivered on different projects, and then they had some in-house projects. It was, honestly, the best way I can describe it was that it was more of a consultancy agency than anything else, right? So what they had decided, or what was decided upon, was that I was supposed to take care of an old product, a really old one that they had some external consultants create, right? And then they had a few other interns that had started a process of creating a web solution for this product, which was a salary management system. And they pretty much had left that in a half-finished state, like a salary management system. And my job was to deliver this project. My job was to continue the work that they had done several months ago on this platform that was managing salaries and taxes and all of this stuff, right? And to deliver that. That was the whole job, right? And when I got there, it turns out that they didn't actually have the resources, to allocate a senior experience to sit with me. So literally the guy who had been writing and building this thing, he was sitting two desks down from me, but he did not technically have, I had to just kind of ask him whenever he was working on other stuff, and he was not allocated to help me out on this. So I was left completely alone. I had never ever worked as a software developer in my entire life, and I was pretty much in charge alone to build a salary management system. And then I was also in charge of, because nobody at the company knew a fucking thing about taxes or regulations or anything like this. None of them knew anything. I mean, my boss, the guy who was supposed to be my manager or my supervisor, he said that you can't ask me about these things. You need to call into the tax office, or you need to talk to, whenever we have our financial consultant in-house, you need to talk to her. That was definitely my lowest point. Honest to God, I still used, for me, this was a baptism of fire. It was pure purgatory. And on top of this, I had a manager level, a woman who was, she didn't know a fucking thing about this at all. All she saw was that I couldn't produce very quickly. All she saw was that, I didn't really get the results that she was looking for. And for some, I don't know if there was a mismatch in expectations here, but I don't know what you expect from someone, what you would have expected to see from someone who is that green. Because I can tell you, after that job, after all the other roles that I've had throughout every single other company I've worked for, I have never seen anything like this happen ever before. The second I switched to a new company, I went into a real IT company. It was like I actually had coworkers who were in some fashion there to train me or to help me to understand the system. There was none of this, like literally none of this was going on at this first company. And I think that, if I'm going to be honest, I think that this has mostly to do with inexperience, both at the management level, that they have fuck all understanding of how to run an IT company. And I think that they were just kind of setting everything up as they were used to with the other consultants. The difference was that the other consultants have been working for years been trained by larger IT corporations where they actually already have some experience and they are able to work independently. But when you're a complete fresh college kid or like a university kid, you don't have this. You need someone to help you out, especially if you're basically handed a project that is half finished, and then you're going to figure out how all this fits together. And on top of that, it's a system that deals with a domain such as taxes and laws and stuff like that is way outside what you know. And as you can imagine, I mean, I kind of felt like I wanted to tell my boss at that point, like, you know, when he was saying, no, you can't ask me about taxes. I'm like, well, no, you can't fucking ask me about taxes either. I don't know a fucking thing about taxes. I don't know anything about the thing that you want me to build. And you're telling me that to solve this problem, you're putting it on me as the person here to learn how to become a programmer, to go and try to become an expert in this. And the way I'm supposed to achieve this is not to have someone to collaborate with. It is to call into to the tax office and sit and talk to them and try to see if they can understand all of these rules and regulations in some fashion. As you can imagine, the whole thing completely fell apart. And I suffered. I truly did. I really did suffer for, I think it was slightly under or slightly over a year or something like that before I just, you know, I think I have to find another job. But I'm at the same time happy that I had this, and this was my absolute first job. The reason why I'm happy that it happened was because if I had ever doubted my commitment to this profession and to myself, then there were no doubts after this. Because if I had been even the slightest bit unsure that programming was something that I wanted to do as a lifelong career, I would have quit. Because the pressure, I had anxieties to the point where I had stomach aches almost every single day I came into work, and I was nervous. The happiest time at that job for me was when nobody bothered me, because then there was like, I could at least pretend like I wasn't disappointing everybody, and I could pretend like I didn't have a mountain of pressure on me in a situation where I thought that I really did think that everything was my fault all the time. And the reality was that it was actually, in my world, a little bit of a mutual problem rather than just my fault. So what I want you to take away from this is that my lowest point was when I was put in a situation where I was woefully ill-equipped to deal with the expectations that had been put on me. And I was put in that situation not only just because of myself, but because of the employers that I was working for. So if you find yourself in a similar situation like I did, don't blame yourself all that much, because the thing that makes you succeed when you are a junior developer is not just how dedicated you are, because I was dedicated. I studied long hours into the night every single day, and I did everything I felt that I could in order to be the best that I could, but I wasn't ready for this level of pressure. And a good employer and a good manager should have taken that into account. They actually apologized to me, or rather one of my managers did apologize to me when I quit that job and said, maybe this wasn't the best setup, because it wasn't. And if this happens to you, do yourself a favor and cut yourself a little bit of slack. Have a great day.